Well, hello everybody. Welcome to DES 105. This is Page Layout Designs. I wanted to welcome you to our week 3 class. We're almost done with the mod, believe it or not. We're going to jump right into our page tools. We're going to talk about the 7 elements of graphic design and how to apply them. We're also going to be talking about how to do master pages. We're going to kind of review that a little bit. And I'm going to go over some things where some of you might have missed the last 2 weeks, like packaging and uploading your files, and then making sure that you use tab leaders. So we've got a busy week and lots of demos to do. So I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible. We'll go ahead and stop the video, and then we'll jump right into what we need to learn. So how did you guys feel that week 2 went? Did you feel like it was a good week for you? I gotta say I was quite impressed with the menu design layouts, and I'm really glad that most of you took advantage of the ability to resubmit your assignment doing the grading feedback. I thought that was really, really neat. So hopefully that helped you guys out. Let's talk about week 3. Welcome to week 3. So we're going to have a quick introduction to the elements of design. We talked about the principles of design, which is the CRAP principles: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And we talked about that quite heavily in our discussion too. So thank you to all of you who participated in discussion too. But now we're going to be talking about the elements of design, using elements to create a good layout. So we talked about the principles, the rules behind design, and now we're going to be talking about the physical elements that we're going to be using. And I'm hoping that you incorporate these into your week 3 designs. We've got quite a lot to go over. So lots of design work. This is a heavy design week. Let's talk about the demo problem areas of last week's assignment. I've got to say, it was packaging files. I know some of you might have missed that in the recording. So I'm going to go over it again with you guys, and then we're going to go over the discussion, the assignment, and the assessment. So we have quite a bit to go over. Please be aware we're going to be talking about master pages, spreads, and ad placement. This is all going to be included in the grading rubric, and you will be held responsible for this. So hopefully you finish out this recording and stick with me, all right? Okay, let's do a quick demo of last week's problem areas. So I'm going to stop the share here, and I'm going to bring up InDesign really quick. I'm getting all these things popping up. Bear with me. All right, and I had a student mention that they couldn't see the tabs, so I'm going to close out all of my windows really quick so that all you can see is InDesign. Okay, so let's do the desktop. We'll share the screen. So you should be able to see my desktop okay. All right, so here's InDesign. Let's see. Looks like only InDesign was shared. There we go, desktop. Okay, there it is. All right, so let me open up our InDesign really quick so you can see everything. I'm going to close out of the elements that we don't need for now. Okay. All right, so say this is our menu design. What we want to do is package this file. Now, depending on whether you're on a PC or a Mac, it's going to be a little different. I'll do the demo for the Mac, and then I'll explain to you how being on a PC is just a little bit different, okay? So right now we go to File, Package, and then you'll get a little pop-up box, a little notification, and you want to check this part right here. Links and images. You want to make sure that nothing is missing. If you see missing, that means it will not package correctly. You'll go through the package process, but when I open it, everything's going to be missing. So you need to make sure that you go find the right pictures and the links, that everything is found, okay? And then you'll hit package. Yes, we'll save it. You'll give it a name. We'll just save it to the desktop, untitled. And you'll hit continue. Here's where you'll give the folder a name. So this would be assignment to Mrs. Woodland, et cetera, et cetera. And then you'll save it somewhere where you'll remember. And then down here, this is where it will create the PDF for you. So you do not need to create a separate PDF. make sure it says smallest file size. You can adjust this file size by using the drop-down menu, but you definitely want to make sure you use smallest file size as the preset. This way the file you'll compress won't be quite as large, and also quicker upload. And we don't need you to use a high quality PDF unless you were sending it to a printer. But in this case for class, this is all you'll need. Once you have given it a name and you've selected smallest file size, you'll hit package, hit OK. And it will take a few minutes to kind of do its thing. What it's doing is it's grabbing all the images that you used in your document and all the fonts that you used, all the settings, character styles, colors, everything that you used to create your design. It's putting it in one nice tidy folder for us. So you don't have to go and do that manually. Now, if you'll look on my desktop, let's see, there it is. So assignment to Mrs. Woodland. If I open that, this is what I'll find. Okay, so this is how you know you did it right. When you find that folder, you'll open it, you'll get your InDesign document already in there, your PDF already in there. You can even take a look at, make sure all the pages look good, got all your information there. And then here's the document fonts. And then if you were to have pictures in your layout, there would be another folder that said links, and that will have all your pictures. So this is how you know you did it correctly. Well, now what do you compress? You compress this folder, this one right here, the one you created. So I'll close out of that. On a Mac, you only need to right-click on it and go to compress down here. You see that? And it will make a zip file. It's got a little zipper on it, hence the word zip. That's a compressed file, and that is the file that you upload to me, okay? Now, if you're on a Mac, some Macs, you kind of have these in pieces. You have to select Shift and select everything that you want. So what happens on the PCs, and I don't know why it does this, but when you do package a file, it'll kind of have it in pieces. So you may not have a folder. If you do have a folder, they'll have all these elements. You need to hold down Shift and select each element. Then you right-click and hit compress, 5 items. It will make another folder. And so that's the folder that you'll zip, okay? And that's what you'll submit to me. So it's a little different on a PC. I'm not quite sure why they make it so difficult. If you're on a Mac, it's one less step for you. If you're on a PC, it's one more step. So if you have any questions, let me know. And again, don't wait till the end of the weekend to find out that you need some help on this. I really want to make sure that you feel comfortable. So come to the multi-session on Wednesday and I can step you through it. If you need help before or after, you are welcome to visit the Student Success Center and they can help you, especially if you're troubleshooting and having some issues and you're not sure why. I know some students said, I'm following the instructions, but it's still not packaging correctly. So they can pull up your screen, just like we're screen sharing here, and they'll be able to step you through it. So it's very helpful and handy. And also, this is where you find the Student Success Center. Let me show you here. And pull this up. You go to the Home button on our course homepage. You click on that. And then click on the Student Success Center green tab right here. And this will take you to a link and you'll follow the steps of what you need, okay? This is the click to enter the Student Success Center, so you'll click that and follow the instructions. Now the hours of operation are posted here on the left, so you can kind of see when they're open. Just kind of select we're in graphic arts, so this would be the one that you'd select, and here's the schedule. So they're open Monday through Saturday. So this is very, very important to make sure that you get some help. And they're open from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Throughout the week on a Saturday. So if you're up late doing your assignment and everybody else is sleeping and you're not able to get a hold of anybody, this is where you need to come. But I recommend you not wait till Saturday. But this is how you access the Student Success Center, and this is how you find the schedule, okay? So remember, it's that green tab right there. All right, and then you access the multi-session the same way you do the live session. So just click on the link, the Zoom link, and it's posted in the announcements part of the course homepage, so you can find that there. All right, let me know if there's any questions. I know that was the biggest thing, how to package your file correctly. then how to compress it, and then what do you submit? And you submit that zip file, and that's what you need to submit to me. Now, this week we're working on week 3, so any week 2 work that you need to resubmit, you're welcome to if you want a better grade. I know some of you might not have done as well as you had hoped. Some of you did very good. If you missed out on some points on your assignment, I'm offering the opportunity to resubmit for a better grade if you'd like. What you do need to do is apply all the changes on the that I gave you, and I made comments on the grading, not so much on the grading rubric, but on the PDF itself that I resubmitted to you in the comments section. So if you go to the comments section of the assignment, I've attached a PDF with my commentary on it. So you just click those speech bubbles and you'll be able to find the detailed comments that I left you. If you're still confused or need some help, again, come to the multi-session. I'm here to help. It's kind of, I'm there. There's not a structured lesson or lecture, and you can come and go as you need. And but I do invite you to come and take advantage of it, because it's a great way to get some help one-on-one with me. If you're not able to make my multi-session, I do highly encourage you to go to a multi-session. There are many out there. Let me show you. There's a link here. See, once everything loads, give it a second. There we go. Okay, so level 100 multi-sessions. This is our Mod 6 schedule. You click this PDF, it will bring up all the instructors that are holding multi-sessions. You don't have to go to just mine. You can go to any instructor or any class, whether you're taking that class or not, and they are able to help you. Okay, so I just want to encourage you to do that. Their Zoom room links and times that they host their graphic arts level multi-sessions are all on this schedule. So just check it out, check a list of instructors, and see who you feel comfortable going to visit. Okay, are there any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and kind of shift gears here. I'll go ahead and stop the share. And we'll go back to our PowerPoint. We're going to talk about the elements of graphic design. Let me just get all my windows closed. Okay, so let's talk about how to apply these. There are 5 basic elements of graphic design. There's line, shape, texture, color, and value. We're going to go over what each one is so that we understand. Let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about line as an element. Now let's talk about elements for a second. Have you ever looked at a seemingly simple design and thought, I could totally do that. I can design that. Like this picture here. You could probably design this picture. But later when you sit down to actually give it a whirl, you probably don't know why your attempt doesn't measure up to the professional version. And you kind of have to ask yourself, okay, what gives? Why is it not looking like the example provided? And you might feel like that when you're doing the newsletter design this week. It turns out that professional graphic designers have a few tricks up their sleeve to make the work look well and professional. So even with all the amazing free tools available for wannabe graphic designers these days, or maybe amateurs don't really have the foundational know-how necessary to create a consistently polished looking design. So to help you out, and as you get started on your graphic design journey, kind of put together a little list of these basic graphic design elements. Now, it's not a graphic design degree by any means, but having a foundational understanding of these 5 basic elements can really boost your content creation skills, and it can improve your ability to not only communicate your design preferences, but also if you ever decide to take this up as a profession and get into the industry, it'll kind of have a good foundation of what you need to know. So, all right, so let's deep dive into these 5 elements below here, and let's cover what they are, why you should care, and how to use them to create more professional looking designs. So even if you're operating, from a 0 experience level, this is a great place to start. So let's start with lines. Lines are more than just dividers, okay? The right lines can convey movement and emotion, tying together your composition and making it look polished and professional.
I saw some of you use lines, the element of using the lines for your menu design. And I thought that was a great way to section off things, to kind of segment or maybe highlight something. So I just wanted to kind of congratulate you for using lines. That was an element of design. You probably didn't even know it. Rickard Roden, a graphic designer and blogger with over about 15 years of design experience, explains that lines can form the underlying architecture of your project. Defining the line of movement in your composition before you get started can really help you construct a design that achieves the desired mood that you want. He says that you can use mood lines in virtually every element of your design. Or you can contrast different mood lines in different parts of your design to create a more layered design. So just kind of wanted to share this example here. So lines can also be visibly incorporated into your final design as well. But lines are an excellent way to, oh, I can't drag that in. Let me show you something. Excellent way to add character and personality, and also can create some division. Let's look at this example right here. There we go. So take a look at this design. So this is line in action. The designer for this particular logo is Alexander Koltsov, and the folks at Shuka Design, which is a design agency, created this stunning visual identity for the 2016 World Chess Championship in New York. And so the team used purposeful but asymmetrical swirls of overlapping lines to represent the thought process of a chess player. And I think it's just very creative and very well done. But again, this is lines in action, seeing them used and how they're used. Okay. All right, let's talk about shape a little bit. Shapes, they're not just for preschoolers, okay? I'm currently teaching my preschooler their shapes, and while it's fun, we also get to take it on a higher design level. So a shape can be loosely explained as anything defined by boundaries, okay? Shapes have those borders, those boundaries that give them their shape. There are two categories that I want you to remember, two categories of shapes to consider, okay? Geometric shapes, which are kind of defined by perfect uniform proportions, such as a circle, square, triangle. We know those basic geometric shapes. But there's also a second one called organic shapes, which have less well-defined edges. They're more free-flowing proportions, and essentially there's no rules associated with the organic shapes. They can be wiggly, blob-like things that don't really fit into any real category of a shape. So while you see the basic shapes here, let me show you real quick. Here's a picture. I'll just drag off of my desktop if it will let me. There we go. Okay, so here's a basic example. Right, like that. So these are your basic shapes. And when you're working on a design, I want you to consider both the shapes you're deliberately incorporating. Again, design with a purpose, but the positive shapes, we want to kind of focus on that, and the shapes that naturally formed around those shapes, which is the negative space. So if we talk about shapes being formed in negative space, I'll show you an example of what that looks like. Take a look at this. Okay, what do you see? It's kind of one of those, what do you see first? Do you see two faces, or do you see kind of a goblet? So perhaps the most famous example illustrating the distinction of positive and negative shapes is this Rubens vase. So do you see a vase, or do you see two faces? I'm always curious to see what you see first. Developed in 1915, a Danish psychologist, Edgar Rubin. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but this now ubiquitous optical illusion shows two completely different images when the negative shapes are viewed versus when the positive shapes are viewed. So I kind of want you to take a step back. If you see the faces, I want you to try to find the vase. If you see the vase, I want you to just take a step back and focus on the positive space and try to find the faces. So depending on which
space you're focusing on, it gives you a different result. So that's kind of always fun. Those optical illusions are always fun. Okay, if we want to see shapes in action, let me show you another visual example. Right here. This humble circle has always been a popular, trusty way to display information in a very clean, unified composition. You'll often see logo designs designed around the circle shape. And this simple modern logo for the company Hidden Gems of Sydney is focusing on highlighting local attractions in the area, but they use the circle to kind of capture the explorer, the circling the world kind of feel. And so that is shapes in action right there. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Again, you see these shapes. So the organic shapes I was talking about are also referred to free-form shapes. The geometric shapes are like the example I just showed you. They're more structured, very straight-edged shapes that kind of, well, not always straight-edged, but they're very defined. They have very defined borders and lines, whereas these free-form or organic shapes kind of are abstract almost. So that's kind of the real difference. All right. Okay, let's talk about texture. Textures can be actual, paper, or visual. And it's the surface quality of an object, the roughness or smoothness of it. Texture can be accomplished through layers of content or images, or the combination of both, or it can be accomplished through just one single image. This is a very visually pleasing element that you could use. It gives some kind of dimension to your design. Okay, let's talk about color. Okay, so color is always fun, and believe it or not, we could spend a whole mod on it. There is a class, I think it's Design 114, that's just dedicated to the psychology of color. And while we won't get into the exact science of why you need to use certain colors and the meaning behind colors, we will talk about why they're an important element of design and why you should care. If you think back all the way to the 1700s, Sir Isaac Newton, he was widely credited with creating the very first color wheel. And as the story goes, Newton took the spectrum of colors produced when the light passes through a prism. You got red and orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, the colors that we know now, and kind of arranged them in a little segmented circle. And when the circle was spun rapidly on a rotating disc, the colors blurred together. Let me see if I can find an example for you. Let's pull this in. Okay, so here's an example. This appeared completely white to the human eye when they were combined and spun, but here you can get an idea of how Newton's color wheel likely appeared. This is a 1708 version illustrated by a French painter, and it makes reference to Newton's color theory research. So I didn't know Isaac Newton had anything to do with this color theory, so I think that was very interesting. Newton's visual categorization system for color was adopted and expanded upon by scientists, artists, philosophers over many, many years. And eventually it resulted in the modern color wheel that we all know today. And if you're not familiar with the modern color wheel, I really recommend you kind of get to know it. The modern color wheel consists of three primary colors: red, yellow, and blue, okay? Which can theoretically be mixed in varying ratios to produce lots of other secondary intermediate colors. But although modern research tells us that color theory is actually a little more complicated than that. In fact, we have a whole mod dedicated to a class based on the psychology of color. And like I said, we could spend all day on it, but we're not going to. The color wheel is still a very valuable tool for graphic designers. And I'll tell you why. When you look for aesthetically pleasing color combinations, you want to look for the opposite of the complementary colors lie opposite of each other. So the complementary color for yellow would be violet. the complementary color for red would be green. And so it shows you these shades and how to use them. So let's see a color in action. So again, what would be the complementary color of yellow? It would be violet, right? Here is an example of color in action. You've got the yellow and the violet complementary colors working together. This is an example from a studio, JQ. It's a great example of complementary colors in action. Violet and yellow, which appear directly opposite of the color wheel, like we can see here. Let me pull it down. You got yellow, you've got your violet. I'll pull that back up. These produce a really bold, visually appealing effect when they're paired together. So this is a really cool combo. Love this, but it works. So if you ever wonder why if I ever made a comment about your colors or your color scheme or your color choices, you might want to revisit the color wheel a little bit. And if you need some help, just look on the color wheel and you can kind of figure out what would be a complementary color to use with your main color, your design, okay? We'll get rid of that. So color also can convey a message. The meanings of color and emotions conveyed can really vary according to culture. In one culture, it can mean brave. In another culture, it can mean cowardice. So there's lots of different meanings, and there's a whole psychology behind it. Lots of people perceive color differently. So it really depends on who your audience is. But again, here's the color wheel and lots of different shades as we get more in depth and kind of break the color wheel down a little bit. All right. So the next one we like to talk about is value. It goes hand in hand with color. It creates mood or tone in your piece, and it's the darkness and the lightness contrast in your image. So if you can look at this example here, kind of just tell me briefly what's giving this image value, as you see. Yeah, so basically you see light colors and dark colors working together. This creates a mood or a tone. So it's very interesting how that works. And they also use space and empty areas between these elements to incorporate and kind of heighten the design a little bit. Okay, so those are our 5 elements. We could get into many, many more. There's space, there's contrast, there's alignment. We've covered most of those in last week's lecture, but I just wanted to go over this. So if are there any other questions before we move on? Okay, we're doing good. All right, so let's talk about this week's discussion. A few of you left the discussion blank and did not participate during the week, so I really encourage you to stay active. It's how I take class attendance, so I can easily see who was active and who wasn't just based off of your posts and when you posted. And so I do see the last minute posts that come in and the late posts. Unfortunately, there's no way to make up discussions, but here's the good news. They're worth 60 points each for each of them, and there's 3 of them in a mod. So that's a total of what, 180 points that you can easily earn. All you have to do for the discussion is follow the directions, post a minimum of 150 words for your initial post, and then your peer replies just need to be about 50 words each. So I really want you to take advantage of the opportunity to get a good grade on this, actually. We're going to be talking about, it gives you a link to visit, and you'll click on that link, and then basically it's just restaurant menu designs. And I want you to look through all of the menu art that's kind of displayed there. I want you to choose an example that illustrates either powerful or maybe the poor use of elements in design. So we're talking about all these elements, and I want you to talk about and kind of explain, use terminology we're learning in class, and talk about, kind of break down the layout that you shared. Now, what was effective? What wasn't? Did the layout include all of the elements or just one? what grabbed your attention, and why did you decide to share it. So all of these points can be addressed. There's plenty to talk about and plenty to share. If you do, however, share a picture or an image, you do need to use APA, you need to cite the source correctly. So the link is here. If you're not familiar with how to cite sources, there's lots of generators online that you can use, or a Student Success Center can help you. But just make sure that it's not enough to just list the website. You do have to format it according to APA standards. So just try to focus on that, okay? So you don't lose any points. Okay, let's talk about our assessment really quick. I'm gonna go over a demo for you. We're gonna do the assessment together. This is gonna be the design portion of our, of our lecture. We're gonna be designing a postcard design. So we're gonna be using elements from your menu, pulling that in and doing a completely different size document. Have you guys seen postcards before? There's usually a front cover, and then on the back you have the stamp or the indicia mailing information. You've got the address, and then on the back, if it's for a restaurant or for a company that's trying to advertise, you usually have some sort of advertisement on the back. So it's probably, but in this case, it's going to be a coupon for the restaurant that you just designed a menu for. So now, some of you did miss out on how to incorporate style sheets in your layout for week 1 and week 2. If you still don't have style sheets correctly in your menu, there is a sample layout provided if you go to the website. So what I'm going to do is kind of step you through it. I'm going to go to share the screen real quick. We'll share the desktop. Okay, and then I'm going to pull up our class, and we're going to go to the assignments part. And we're going to click on week 3 assignment or assessment. So I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at the postcard, the assessment project, but give yourself plenty of time to design this week because it does take up a lot of time. So you are going to be creating and applying master and character style sheets to manage your type consistency. We want to keep everything the same and uniform. We also want to illustrate how to utilize the color palette within InDesign. So we're going to be using that a lot. There's lots of instructions. Part of our job as graphic designers is to create multiple projects for a single client. You'll often find that you'll create business cards, and then once the business cards are created, you're usually doing other way around. You'll do a logo design, then they'll need business cards, and then they'll need some advertising. You have to create a series of ads or do an ad campaign for them. So just depending on the company and how far you go in this industry, you'll find that you often do multiple different projects for the same client. So it's vitally important to understand why we're giving you these projects. This is for a very specific reason. This is real hands-on work. So clients usually contain several elements that are alike as far as their pieces. And so as designers, we're creating the face of a company for the world, and that identity really must be presented consistently. Let's talk about typography and color palette. These are two of the key elements that really give separate components within a campaign a very cohesive feel. What does that mean? That means that if your type isn't uniform and you are using too many colors in the rainbow, nothing's going to feel uniform and consistent. So what I like to say, the general rule of thumb is to only use a maximum of 2 different fonts in your design. Your type, only use 2 different fonts. You can use different font styles within those fonts, like a bold or regular or an italic, but too many fonts, you start getting it starts looking muddled and cluttered and kind of a little chaotic. So just make sure that you keep or use a max of 2 fonts. Also, when we're referring to the color palette, I'll show you how to access the colors and choose color choices, but really try to to use complementary colors in your design, okay? Not only does this save you an enormous amount of time using style sheets and color palettes, but it really ensures continuity, which is kind of the overall goal here. This is what we're seeking. So I'll teach you how to create a swatch palette and color groups within the InDesign. So let's jump into InDesign real quick and let's learn about color swatches. You can access color. I'll draw a little box here. We'll go over these tab leaders in just a second. And you draw a little box, and up here you can create, or you can pick a color from these pre-entered or pre-selected color swatches. These are the CMYK values. So if I were to pick a blue here, this is the pure blue value. I don't want to be just limited to these primary CMYK colors, though. I do want to be able to explore a little bit more. And if I go to down here at the bottom of my toolbar, with the box selected, I can double click on my fill box and it will pick, this is my color space view. This is called the color picker. And I can move this color picker by clicking and dragging it off and down. And then I can even move this group of, this bar here, two little arrows, move it around. And depending on how I move them both, I can achieve a different kind of set of hues and colors like this, okay? So say I wanted to use this nice red color. I'm going to hit add CMYK swatch, so I'll add this and it will apply it to my box, okay? I can hit OK and it will have added it to my library, my color library up here. So now if I want to make my headers a certain color, all I have to do is go select that new CMYK swatch. So all of my headers will now be this new red swatch. This is how you create continuity. So instead of trying to go find that same shade of color in the color picker, I now have it already preset by clicking Add Color Swatch. So that's how you add colors to it. This is also how you select and find new colors here, okay? All right, and then let's see. Let's go back to see what else we need to know. So that's the color swatch panel or palette. Color groups, we'll talk about that in a minute. This just allows us to utilize the exact same colors from page to page, file to file with a click of a button. So this is going to assure, again, just kind of a unified campaign. Now, what this assessment is going to do is evaluate your ability to reuse existing style sheets and color palettes that have previously been created either by yourself or another designer to kind of maintain consistency. The whole point here is to make sure that we can format correctly and we're not having to do each one individually. So I want you to get the feel for style sheets. So if you haven't mastered it last week, this week it's time. So we'll design this postcard together and then we'll kind of go through things. But I wanted to also show you down here at the bottom, there's a link called sample document. If you click that, this will has two preset style sheets from well, I guess if you didn't have style sheets from week 2's assignment, this has two preset style sheets that you can use and you can format. So you just download that and I'll show you how to import it into your new document. So let's go over, that's color. Let's go over how to set up your document. So I'll just keep this open so we can look at the dimensions together. So for this assessment, we're going to create the following InDesign document. So you'll go to, kind of close this so I can see so this is what it will look like. This is the postcard size, and you'll have 2 pages. They're not facing pages, they are separate, so that's important to note. But if you go to File, drop-down menu, and click on New Document, right here, it'll bring up your new document dialog box. And here's where you'll give it all the presets. You want to deselect facing pages. What that usually means is that's usually for book or magazine. You want pages side by side. In this case, we're doing a postcard, so we do want them to be separate.
So we'll deselect that. And then number of pages, you will need to select 2, so you can just manually enter 2. Start page will stay the same, you want it at 1. And then our orientation is going to be landscape, and our height will be 6 inches, and our width will be 6 inches, and our height will be 4.25, so 4¼ inches. Okay, so there's our document. Now we're going to adjust our margin. Now we have to make our margin a little smaller, and this is because the finished size is smaller. So here's 0.25 inches. So we're going to make it a little smaller because the document itself is smaller. And then we uncheck spreads, and the unchecked spreads is just deselecting the box facing pages. That's what that means. And then you set it to 2 pages, so we've done that. And then we just need a bleed. We need 1/8 of an inch bleed. You can either type in the fraction, 1/8 of an inch, or you can type in the decimal. It will convert it for you either way. So 0.125 inches, kind of cool. It does the math for you. And we just need the bleed, and don't worry about the slug at this point. So this is how you set up your document. Just make sure everything is the same, okay? And hit, and what's nice is you can, if you click on this preview button, as you make the changes in your document box, you'll see that you can kind of see the changes you're making in live time. So if it's not looking correct, then you'll be able to tell right away. Maybe you overlooked something or forgot to enter in a value. Okay, so here is the postcard document. Here's my second page. So 2 pages, they're not spread, so that's good. Now we have to talk about importing the paragraph and the character styles that you used in your menu design during week 2. Now again, if you did not use paragraph or character styles, you will need to use them this week. You will be graded on them. But if you didn't set any up, don't worry, they're being very nice, and they're giving you that link here at the bottom, the sample document, okay? So I downloaded this earlier, I clicked on that. So now let's go to importing the paragraph and character styles into this new document we created. Because the document that's linked is an 8.5 by 11 document, so we can't use that document. We need those character styles imported into our postcard document. So what we're going to do is, if you open your paragraph sheets panel, so if you go to Window, go to Paragraph Styles, there we go, and Character Styles. And at this point, we don't have any, right? This says none. The only one we have is that default basic paragraph. So now you can either create your own or import your own from your week 2's work, but this is how you'll do it. So say you had a week 2, you did your work, you have style sheets you'd like to import. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the style sheets panel. So go to this little, I guess, triple lined icon here. Go all the way down to load all text styles. Do you see that? This is what I clicked on. This little button right here. Click on that top right button and then go all the way down to load all text styles. Now it's going to ask you, what do you want to load from what document? Now, if you downloaded the sample style sheets, this is what this document's called. So I'm just going to click on this because this already has the preset style sheets. I'll click open and then I'll hit OK. And as you can see, it's asking you, what do you want to import? And in this case, I want to import all of them. Okay, and then immediately you'll notice now I all of a sudden have a body copy and I have header style sheets. On my characters, I have a character style 1. So now this is imported correctly. Now, if you have your own style sheets from your assignment 2, simply follow the same process. Go to File, New, Document. Or I'm sorry, I'm trying to create a new document. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. Go to, click on your top right icon here and go to Load All Text Styles. And then go find your week 2 InDesign document. Click on that, hit open. Okay? And then it will bring in all of your sheet styles. Or I'm sorry, your style sheets. So Hopefully that made sense. Sorry if it was fast, but the instructions are right here in your assignment. I just wanted to kind of show you how that worked. Now, again, let's do a little review on style sheets, what they are, why they're important. Style sheets are these kind of preset styles for your paragraph, your body text, for headers, for other elements like drop caps and other things that you'll need throughout your document. Usually when you're creating a multi-page document or a document that requires a lot of heavy formatting, like a menu, all the prices have to be the same size and the same font and the same weight, and that all of your menu descriptions have to be a different size font, size weight, etc. Then you've got your menu items that have to be different. So when you have a lot of text that you're working with that you have to format, these style sheets come in handy because you can have a style sheet for your menu items. You can have a style sheet for your menu description. You can have a style sheet for your pricing, and so on and so on. So you kind of get the gist of why we use them. It's time saver because if you were to type in, if you were to change each one manually, it would take you a very long time. So in this case, we're going to do a little test. So let's do header. So by highlighting this says header. But now I want to change, I've got some body copy. Let's see, header. I changed this portion to my body copy. If I click on body copy, it automatically changes it to this nice charcoal 11-point font. It's a Times New Roman font. So this now becomes my body copy, okay? And then this is my character format style sheet. Go to the character box, character styles, click on character style. So they're about the same. You can go in and change this if you need to make some alterations. You can customize it. But these are preset style sheets that you can use if you don't already have your own, okay? The point is we want the postcard to look very similar to the menu. We want same vibe, same feel, same mood, same personality. And the way that we accomplish this is by keeping everything consistent, like the text and the way it's formatted and the pictures and the color scheme that we use. So if you use blue and orange for your color scheme or black and white for your color scheme for the menu, you want to use that same color scheme for the postcard. And same thing with the elements that you use, the design elements. You really want to make sure that you keep those consistent as well. All right, so let me know if there are any questions about how to incorporate the paragraph style or character styles into your document. But again, the instructions are all right here. So that should be pretty simple. All right, and then also I wanted to note that oftentimes when you import the style sheets, it's going to import the necessary colors too. Feel free to change this color. If you want to change the color, just double click on the paragraph style. If you need to make an edit on anything, and just go down here to character color. You could wanted to make it yellow or say black was your thing. You can hit OK, and now it becomes this becomes the new header to be black. Okay, so you can go and edit color if you don't already have them preset in your assignment too. But that should all. You used any specific color palette, that should all be incorporated. So that's very important to note. Okay, hey Ginger, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing? We are just going over the assessment. And so we've just imported our style sheets, and I was just talking about how when you do that, it also imports necessary colors as well. If you have any custom color swatches that you included. If they don't come in, you want to follow the above instructions with the swatches panel. Just kind of see if you can include that. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the other portion of this assignment. So that kind of steps you through that. You're going to want to place one of the menu item photos from your project on page 1. So we'll pretend this is page 1, because it is. And I got to go grab a photo. Grab a photo real quick. Bear with me. There we go. Hang on. I don't know why I only have one image. I'm looking for the other one. Let's see, week 2. Here we go. We could do that one. I like the sushi one, the plain white one. Let's see if this one's any better. I'm just looking for kind of a clean look to ours. Let's use this one. I like this one. All right, so you can go to File and place your image, or you can just drag and drop your image into your document, okay? We'll close out of this. We'll zoom out. I was also going to show you an example. I went on Google, if you need some inspiration on what you want it to look like, I went to Google and I just kind of Googled some ideas, and I came across this restaurant postcard that I thought was a very simple design. So this is kind of the vibe I'm going to go for and the look. Obviously, I'm not designing for an Italian restaurant, but it had the same basic elements that I was going to need. So one of your instructions is to create, do a full cover photo on your front of your postcard. So the cover of your postcard is just going to have the photo extended to all edges. Now, please remember, don't just go to the edge of the white artboard. You need to extend this photo all the way up to the bleed line. Now, if you notice, I'm taking these anchor points and I'm pulling them to the bleed line, but the picture isn't filling in. Now, some of you kind of had some issues with when you place your photo. Some were so zoomed in that you couldn't even tell what the photo was, and you needed to resize it. There's a button up here on your character formatting controls where if you click, kind of hover over it, says fill frame proportionately. This is one that you'll definitely want to use, and then it kind of fills it in. If you ever need to shift your picture though, double click on it, and then you get kind of a red text frame around it, and that kind of, or a brown frame, photo frame. That means that you can shift it within the image frame itself. So I'm going to kind of shift it to the right a little bit so we have some room on the left to put any content that we need. And you'll save it. So this will be assignment or assessment 3. This is Woodland, DES 105, whatever the instructions say to save it as. And then you'll save it to the desktop or wherever you will remember. If you place your photo and resize it, it looks a little blurry like this. It looks a little pixelated. A little trick is if you select your image and right-click it, go all the way down to display performance, click on high quality display. And once you click that, it should display correctly. It sometimes does like a fast display, so it doesn't do a very quality display in this case, so because it tries to just do something fast so you can see what it is. But it always bugged me when it would do that, and I could never figure out why it was doing that. So if it ever does that to you, just right click and it will display correctly. Now, if you do select the image and right click and go to display performance, and when you click high quality display, if it still looks pixelated, that means that your picture is too small for your document, and so it will print that way. It will print low res. So we really want to make sure that we have a good high quality image. But all the images provided, you shouldn't have a problem with that. Okay, and then let's pull up the instructions again so we can see what we need to do for the next step. Okay, so place one menu item from your project on page 1, fill the space edge to edge, and extend the frame to all bleeds or utilize the photo below. So we've done that. We've extended it to the red line, which is your bleed line. And now it says you can change the color of the text. Oh, sorry, we're jumping ahead. So using your character or paragraph style sheets, add a headline. This is the headline that we want to include. Buy one, get one half off on the photo. So we're going to take this text. I'm going to grab my type tool, draw a little text box, and I'm going to paste it in there. And I'm going to select my header to be my headline. Okay. And this is where I'm going to format it a little bit. The background is very hard to read. So what I'm going to do is kind of do what this example displays. I'm going to have a couple windows open, so I do apologize. I'm going to kind of zoom out here. What I like about it is it has this little box here at the bottom. You could do that so that, because this is kind of busy the way we have it, so you could kind of do a little box that drops down like this. I'll go to my color picker and I'll try to do a nice, actually, you know what? I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool here on the bottom part of my InDesign document, and I'm going to find a nice dark color. Let's see if I can click that. I don't know if I want black. Let's see if I can do maybe a brown. That looks kind of nice. All right, so, or wait, this is for the walk, so we probably want to do the red. I'm actually going to do a red. Okay, I forgot we're doing, this is for the Chinese restaurant. So I want to stay true to the colors in my logo. And then because I have a dark background, that red background's really dark and kind of hard as it is to see, I want to make sure that my dark font is changed to something very light, like white, so that it stands out. There's good contrast there. I could either do white, or I can grab a light color and this chopstick. So by clicking that light color, that kind of complements the chopsticks a little bit. I can even get a little grayer if I want. That's kind of nice. Or I could grab the yellow in the noodles, kind of that pale yellow to complement what's in the noodles. So I'll highlight that, use my eyedropper, and click somewhere. It's a little off-white, kind of hard to tell. Let me try to get, yeah, it's gonna be hard. Get a good color. Let me see if we can grab it from the bowl. There we go. So it's just kind of up to you. This is a fun tool to use. Your eyedropper tool will grab any shade of color within your picture. I'm going to kind of bring this in. I'm going to adjust the leading so it doesn't look so disconnected. I could also extend this box from margin line to margin line. Kind of have it up here. And then I could have my text go across. You can adjust size how you need it. To be honest with you though, I don't necessarily like this look, so I'm going to move it down here. Just kind of play with the location of it. Like this. I like the red because red and green are colors that contrast easily, and so this will be a good way to add some contrast that way. Okay, I'm going to just do my leading. I'm going to be careful that nothing really touches. And if I wanted to add emphasis, I could do underline. Like that. Something else I could do, if you go to Object and click on Effects, and then click on Directional Feather, I think that's the one. And if you kind of include top or bottom, kind of does a fade. If I wanted to fade from the bottom, that's kind of neat. Let's see. There's a gradient feather. Let's try the gradient one. I like that one better. So what I'm going to do is hit OK. And I'm going to do this gradient feather. I'm just going to rotate this box. Hold down shift when you rotate an object. And this one will allow me to incorporate that fade without that really harsh look, or like a box look. And I'm going to pull it all the way down, just like that. And you can kind of experiment with colors. Like, I don't know if I'm totally sold on the red, but I like that dark brown. This is kind of nice. Might stick with the dark brown. Or you could even do black if you wanted. So just experiment, see what looks better. You want it to complement the look of your logo. Definitely. Okay, so let's see. Hey, Ginger, so going to your comment at the end of the lecture, you want me to look at for week 3? Yeah, that's totally fine. I'd be happy to. And then you said you're having trouble with the discussion. Can't get into the website. Okay, so that's good to know. Let's take a look here. I've got this link up.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. I posted in the discussion what it gives me every time I'll try to get there.
Let's take a look. That's important here to fix. Okay, so 3 discussion. And the link you're having trouble with is the inspirational feed?
Right.
This one?
Yeah. And so are a couple other people. They posted on my reply about it.
Okay, we're about to go to a 10-minute break here. I'll email the course curriculum person who's in charge of the links, and I'll see if they can get that fixed ASAP.
Yeah, because right now it's like giving us an error 504. If you look at the...
Yeah, it's not loading on mine either.
Yeah.
I wonder if I were to open it in a new window. But
I always open them in a separate window, and
it's not working.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. I will send an email over the break.
So I assume
Okay.
that since we can't get into the link, that's going to give us a little extra time to get it done.
Yeah, depending on how fast they can get it fixed for us. So,
yeah, because
you know what? I would just say if this link isn't working, that's okay. Go to Google and just go to Google, because the whole point for this discussion is to look through menu art and pick an example that illustrates either a powerful or poor use of element design. So you're just coming up with a visual example off that website. Forget the website. I'll get it fixed. But for now, so you guys don't have to, since time is an issue, just go to menu art.
And just pull up menu art designs and
then click on images. Now, if you want to get more specific, like what is the menu that you did? Which one did you pick or go with?
I did the bistro.
You did a bistro, so you could do bistro menu art design, and then you can kind of look up some examples. Let's see. Oh, there's a few. Let's close out here. You kind of Google it that way, or maybe even, what was the name of the restaurant?
It was Starlight Bistro.
Bistro. Okay, so do bistro menu design. And you'll find that there's lots of different takes on what a bistro is, but it's more like kind of, here's an example.
It's just an expensive cafe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just a cafe, but here's another example, just very basic, plain. To kind of find examples, it would be good if you could find one with inside page. This is kind of nice. I like this. So you don't have to use that website. So if it's not working for you, I'll go and make a comment, and I'll email the AD of curriculum and see if they can fix that. But for now, just Google some options. So find some good options, find some good examples, and then find some bad ones. What doesn't work exactly? We could talk, I mean, any one of these examples would be appropriate and just fine. So any menu design will be fine. And Google will be your best friend. In fact, you might have more fun on Google than on that website itself. So
Okay.
so just do that. And I mean, it doesn't have to be about a bistro. I was just pulling it up since if that's what you designed, but you can even do Asian, let's see.
I was thinking a Japanese steakhouse.
Yeah, Asian menu design. And there you go. It'll pull up several different kinds. So it can be just whatever. Or if you're into burgers, pull up a burger place. I mean, honestly, it's just, we're talking about formatting. And if we can find an example that, did they use style sheets? Did they not? What's working, what's not? So that's kind of what we're here to talk about, is just discussing the poor use and the good use of style sheets, and using the elements of design like shape and line and texture, color, etc. So
Okay.
yeah, so I will try to get that link fixed ASAP, but if not, don't let that's a great question. Don't let that hold you up. Anyone who's watching at home, don't let it hinder you from finding an example online. Google's chock full of them. So
All right.
great question. Okay, and yeah, I'd love to look at your assignment after class. We're gonna go to a 10-minute break here, and then we'll jump right back into our demo, and we'll go into try to save some time for the assignment one as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Ginger.
All right. Thanks.
All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right back into our demo. So I've got this front cover. Let me also pull up the assignment. Let's see, we're on, go back to the assignments real quick. Go back to the assessment 3.
Okay, we'll scroll down here to what we need to know. So we've got our beam photo placed edge to edge, and we've got our buy one, get one half off on the photo. You can underline it or add something fun to it. You can change the color of the text so it's suitable for the design. In this case, I was just kind of experimenting with what would have worked for the walk and roll logo. And then that's it. You can either choose to put the logo on this page. I think it'd be a good idea to put the logo on the page. It doesn't say to, so you won't get docked points if you don't, but I really think it's a good, I think it's a good habit to get into so that when someone is looking at the ad, they know exactly what company it's for. So let me see if I can find the menu. There we go. Just kind of pull it in here. Another thing I noticed too, there was some skewing and stretching of images and logos. I really want to make sure that we understand how to resize a logo. If you hold down Shift, it will constrain the proportions for you. And then you'd have to fill the frame proportionately, or hold down Shift and Alt Option, or I'm sorry, Shift and Command. And this will resize the entire image and constrain those proportions. I could do another thing here too. If I made this white, I wonder what that would do. Make it white and then make the text the same color in this walk and roll. Like that. And then I can move this logo above it. Hold down Shift and Command. Make it nice and small. And move this down a little bit. You could do something like that, or you could move the logo down here so it doesn't get lost. Move this back up. And you can have the box extend, or you can kind of bring it down like this. So that's an option. That's one way to lay it out. Okay, you have your logo. It also adds some balance. And then page 2 for the postcard. Oh yeah, it does say add the logo to page 1 or 2 or both. So you have your option. Just depends on what works best for your layout. And then you want to apply your paragraph and character style sheet. So we just did that on our header. And then this postcard will not be mailed, so you may use all of the available space on both sides of the card. So they're giving us freedom to lay out everything on the back side. Let's see. Then page 2, insert the copy that they give you. Let's see. You go grab the copy. 3. So I'm going to open this document. All right, so we've got the photo, now the mailing side. Usually for the logo, address, buy one, get one half off, I'm just going to use this guide right here. And I'm going to grab another picture. I'm going to put it in here. You can't have too many pictures, I don't think. I'm going to hold down Shift and Command as I resize my object. Or I think if you're on a PC, it's Shift and Control. So you just kind of want to make sure you're using the right commands here. All right. I'm going to kind of bring it over here. And then what you can do is kind of make sure you're at the halfway point. So I'm going to grab my ruler and kind of put it
at the halfway point. So it's about 6 inches wide, so halfway would be 3. Okay. My ruler is right here. Okay, and then I'm going to extend my picture to all sides of the bleed edge. And then I'm going to click fill frame proportionately. Now I can double click the photo, and I can also kind of shift it down if I want some more space. I can resize within the box. Just like that, okay? And then I'm gonna do kind of what this Italian restaurant did. I'm gonna put a semi-transparent box behind it or over it. Kind of like what I did on the front cover. And let's see, I'm gonna grab this charcoal. There we go. Now, over here is what we call the opacity or the transparency, and I can kind of adjust it a little bit. So I'm going to do that. Kind of just so you can see behind it, but not, you can see some details of the picture, you get what it is, but just so it's not, the picture's too busy to have text over it, so we're going to kind of put a blank slate over it so that you can see. So I kind of want to feature a little bit of that picture like that, get some of that red color to complement the logo. I'm going to grab the logo. It's going to be a little hard to read this. We'll kind of play with it. You may have to go into the InDesign file and kind of change the actual logo, but we'll see. We'll play around with it. We'll find a different place for it for now. Okay, next we are going to the content, which was logo, address, buy one, get one half off. Grab all this content actually. Stick here. I'm going to highlight it and give it the body copy that I'm going to use. Now this body copy, I'm actually going to change the body copy to a sans serif font because the sans serif font in the logo is, I want to complement it and I want to keep consistency. So just double click the body copy that you're or the style sheet that you're copying, and you can go to basic character formats and give it a completely different font. So I'm going to do Futura. And oops, go to basic character formats, and then I'm going to make sure the font is about, yeah, 11 should be good. And I want it to be book. All right, so this is going to be my text now. I'm wondering if I should give it a different color, like a red instead. I might have to change it on the front because this way my logo will stand out like that. And then I was really zoomed in. See if we can see what that looks like. Nope, I don't like that photo. It's not working. I'm gonna go grab a different one. Let's try one with a white background. Let's try this one. I like this one. Now you don't have to use a photo on the back if you don't want to. I like using, especially with food in the restaurant industry, that usually catches the attention, so I really want to be able to focus my attention on it. All right, so I'm just going to shrink this down. We're going to kind of go through this quickly. Sorry, it's taking So I really want to get to the other assignment. I'm going to fill this proportionately. I've got my content. I'm going to right click on the image, go to arrange, send to back. Okay, so you can kind of see some of the sushi, you can see the rolls, and then I'm going to get all this content. Buy one, get one half off. This is going to be the header. Like this. Put it in a separate text box. Like that. Kind of adjust the leading so that it looks a little bit more consistent. I'm going to change the color to white so it really stands out to also complement the white background. All right, so I've got that resized. I want to fit it, center it within the box, and I kind of want to get it kind of close to the logo. Okay, and then here is our text. Here's the fine print. Like this. Change this to white again. Kind of line it up under here. I'm going to italicize this and make it a little larger, and I'm going to make this black so it kind of stands out. Okay, just kind of formatting this a little bit. I'll put a period after this, and then I'll make sure that this is all connected. I'm going to section this off. This can be very small. This doesn't have to be big at all. Make it about 8-point font. And I'll just do a little asterisk or something to show what it is. All right. So there is the actual offer. Now, what you can do to kind of make it look like it's a coupon, you could bring everything in a little bit. Holding down Shift and your command, or I'm sorry, Shift and your command or your control will help you resize objects and the font sizes within them. And what you can do is add a shape. Remember, one of our elements of design here. And by including even amount of space around the text, I'm going to go no fill, and I'm going to add a white stroke to it. And then on my white stroke, I'm going to do dashed 4 and 4. And this almost looks like a coupon. So this is what I'm going to use to kind of show, you know how sometimes you can cut the coupon out. People like to make it look more like a formatted coupon. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We could even box in this logo if we wanted to. This is a good place to keep it. Kind of make sure it's centered where it needs to be. Just like that. Now I want even amount of space. Hang on, let me change the color here to the red. I wanted to get that same effect, so I used the eyedropper tool. There we go. And I'm going to bring this down, all the way down, so you can see it a little little harder to see. Oops. There we are. And I want it, you can do that effect, but you need it dark enough that you can see even the fine print. All right, so there we go. And then this would be a great place that you could put the address and any other information that you'd want. This would be where they'd put the mailing. Up top right would be where they put the mailing indicia or the stamp. Over here is where you could put the address, right here. So address goes here. Like that. So you could make sure the address is included right here. So that would give some balance. You've got a really heavy left side. This would add some balance to the right side as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. This is about all we have time for on the assessment. But hopefully this gives you a really good idea of kind of how to format it and how to make it interesting, make it look like a coupon, make it look fun. On this front here, I'm going to actually copy this fade and this effect and apply it. I'm going to change this font to white. And I'll kind of do that. So there's the cover, and there's the back. So that's your assessment. So we'll go ahead and in this tutorial, we're going to jump into the assignment. We won't be able to get as much done on the assignment, but lucky for you, the assignment will provide an example that you just need to copy. So you can copy the design verbatim. They even give you the materials to use. So we're going to go, I think it's, check it out. Here's the assignment. It's the newsletter design. So you'll make it look exactly like the example. There is a big file. Download the Student Matters newsletter assets here. So you're going to download this package file, and then you're going to do pages 1 and 4. 2 and 3 we'll cover next week, but you just need to do 1 and 4. So let's set up our document. Go to File, New, click on Document. By now you should be a pro at how to do this. We're going to deselect facing pages, or let's see. You want facing pages? Let me see what the example shows. Go ahead and deselect facing pages. No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, number of pages is 4, even though we're only doing 1 and 4 to this week. 8.5 by 11 is your standard size. Then you got to change the margins to 0.5 inches. This should all be default, but if it's not, the margins on top, left, and right. So we're going to leave and bottom. Oh, the bottom is the only value that's different. So we need to change the bottom margin, but just deselect this make all settings the same icon, this little chain link. Make sure it looks like it's broken. And then on the bottom, we need 0.75 inches. If it's clicked, it's going to make them all uniform. And the only one that's different is this bottom one. So we got to make sure we have that. Okay, 3 columns. You'll adjust here. And watch as I add these changes, you're going to see your document come to life in live time. The gutter between the columns is going to be 0.25 inches. So type in 0.25 and don't forget the inch increment. And then 4 pages. So that's the setup right there. So we're going to hit OK. It doesn't look like they've given us a bleed, so that's not going to be important. And then we're going to talk about master pages a little bit here. The master page construction, we're going to close out of these paragraph styles for a minute. You go to Window, click on Pages, right here. Everything's alphabetical in the window menu, so it kind of makes it nice that way. So you can see we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 pages laid out. Up here at the top, you'll see a master. If you click on a master, double click on it. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give it a folio. You need the page number, the date, and the name of the publication. So let's pull up the example that they gave us this week so we can see what we're doing. Here is the final the final mock-up. So I'll double click it so we can open it. Oh, stop the share and go to the desktop. Yeah, it should be. There we go. All right, so here's the actual PDF that you're going to copy. So the actual example. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. So we're going to do 1 and 4 today. So page 1, you're going to need this folio here at the bottom, student matters, and then month, year, and then the date. So this is what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we're on the master. And the neat thing about master pages is that whatever you put on the master, it will apply to all pages. So if you enter the folio and the page number once, it'll apply it to all of the pages. This becomes extremely helpful the more pages you're doing. So if you're designing a book or a magazine and you're using hundreds of pages, this would save you hundreds of minutes in time. So we're going to go and add the folio. We're going to grab a text box and just kind of draw it here at the bottom. We're going to go to type, insert special character. We're going to go to markers, current page number, and it will automatically enter that in. Now I'm going to tab it over, just like the example. It shows that it's on the right side instead. And I get it as close as it will let you. And then here on the right side is where we'll put student matters. We'll probably have to format things later. And then this is where you'll give it the color and the about the font that you want to use. So let's give it the red. And this is going to be blue. What's nice is they've given you a template already to copy so that you don't have to worry about, you can just focus on getting it right. Usually when they leave the creativity up to you, it's kind of, I don't know, I get designer's block and then I worry more about what it's going to look like rather than am I formatting things correctly. All right, now with the page number, it will just display an A. Don't be alarmed by that. When you click on your actual page, it's just a placeholder basically. All right, so then here we're gonna, this is the month, you're gonna give it the month, so whatever month we're in is June 2017. And again, we'll have to keep bringing that page number over. If you go to type glyphs, we've played with glyphs before, you can find the little divider to include if you want that little black dot to separate things. All right, so there's my formatting right like that. And I see I've got a comment here, so I'll just go check that out. They don't want the page number on the last page. That's correct. Okay, so Ginger makes a great point. They don't want the page on the last page. So how do we override once we've clicked on it? So just say we formatted this footer right here, this folio. If you go to page 1, there it is. If you go to page 2, there it is. Page 3, there it is. And look at the page number. Look how they've numbered it for you. So just by going in and adding that folio, it saved you some time already, so you don't have to enter it in 4 times. Now, they don't want the page number on the last page, so what do? You right click, you first make sure that your page number 4 is highlighted. See how it turns gray? The others are white. When it's gray, that means that's the one that's selected. When you right click on it, you're gonna go down to override all master items. By clicking that, this now becomes editable, whereas on the other pages, you can't edit the master elements unless you go directly to the master page. But by overriding the elements on that specific page, I can now delete it. And then all I have to do is place my ad. I'm just going to go in and place my ad, get it positioned correctly between my margin line. All right, and then it asks for, let's see, the mail panel information. I'm going to double click on that and see if it'll bring it up. Here's the address, copy that. And I'll put the mail panel information right here. I'm going to use that first column, copy, paste it. You'll need to format it. We don't have time to format it at this time, but you'll be setting up your style sheets to do the formatting. Okay. So there is page 4, because it says place the graduation ad on the top half, the bottom half utilized as the mailing panel. Remove the page number and any other elements from the page so that it is mailable. You're encouraged to follow the general layout. So let's look at their layout. Yep, they just have the ad and the address. So page 4 is done. That should be pretty simple. Let's go back to page 1. That's where it gets a little trickier. Page 1. But good thing they've given you the little masthead up here, the logo at the top. So let's look at the instructions for page 1. Page 1, it's the cover layout. So you need the flag, which is the logo title of the newsletter. So I'll go back to my folder. We'll close out of this. And where did I save that folder? Give me a second. I've got a million windows open. Here we go. I'm not used to sharing my desktop, so it's a bit messy. So please bear with me. All right, so there's the file. You can either drag it and drop it, or you can go to File, click on Place, and that's how you get the images in. All right, so I've got that set up. So now let's take a look at what else we need. Okay, that looks good. And then now we need the table of contents. So this is where you're going to apply your knowledge of tabs here, tab leaders. I highly recommend you learn how to do that. I went over it in week 2. I'll go over it again in week 3. And then you'll include your feature article and then the sidebar with the article. So I'm not sure how much we'll get to today, but what I want to talk about is the tab leaders. So if you go to table of contents, okay, and then let's go to the example and see where that is. All right, so we need to add a dotted line to the last 2 columns. I'm going to grab our line tool. I'm just going to use these margin lines as kind of a guide. I'm going to give it a stroke of 1, and I'm going to click on dotted here, and I'm going to give the stroke color up here red, because we want to match that red color. It looks like it's a bit heavier than 1, so maybe up it to 2 or 3. Yeah, about 3 points is about the size of the dotted line. Then I'm going to grab the table of contents, copy and paste it in here. If you have your paragraph styles already set up, that's what you'll need to do. Now this extends over both columns, like that. And then it gives you what pages each are on. So for instance, how to succeed in a difficult class is 1, page 1. Cyber aware tips is page 1. You'll have to enter these in because they're not given to you. Study time is 2. Health snacking is page 3. Graduation is 4. And this is all bolded. So I'm going to bold this. Now, I do want some of my paragraph styles included that I was using in the other one. So remember how we can import our paragraph or our style sheets. We go to File, or sorry, let's see. Yeah, Type Paragraph Styles. And then you'll click on this little icon right here at the top right, Load All Text Styles. And we went over this at the beginning of class, so that's why I'm going fast. You find the document that you want to bring in your paragraph styles that are already set up, hit OK, and now you've got them loaded in here. So now my table of contents, I'm going to click on Header, and it's going to give me my table of contents. Of course, this needs to be a little bit smaller. It's a little too large, but I'm going to fit it within the first column, just like that. Okay. And then what I need to do is if I hit, let's go to, I'll highlight this, go to Type, click on Tabs. And this is where I want to right justify everything. If I click on Leader, give it a dot, and then I'm going to extend this little arrow here, and I'm going to tab this over. So I'm just clicking Tab, and what it's doing is it's automatically formatting my tabs for me. You see how I did that? So this little orange arrow is kind of indicating where I want the numbers to line up. If you highlight all of it and then kind of move it, it will shift it. just like that. I want it at the edge of that box. Okay, so that is how you do your table of contents. And I kind of give it some breathing room there. I'm going to shift this down a little bit. Now I'm going to go back to my master. I'm jumping around a little bit because I want to make sure we're covering everything. On my master, I'm going to grab another line element. I'm going to line it up exactly with the folio. Hold down Shift as you draw your line. And I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to give it about 5-point stroke. Oh, maybe it needs to be 3-point stroke. And I'm going to do that dark blue. That's the divider line for all the pages. So now when I go back to page 4, I'm going to have to take that off. So override all master pages and click on that line. I can delete it. So now I'll go back to page 1. Now it's all set up for me. Okay, and the table of contents is good. Everything has a good amount of breathing room. Kind of center it there. Now I need to place the headline and the picture and the article. So I'm going to go to, what's this article called? Difficult Class, How to Succeed. Get the content. I'm also going to grab this picture. I'm going to drag the picture in first. It's quite large, so remember, how do we resize the picture? Hold down Shift and Command, and that will bring it down. Shift and Command, like that. Okay. And then we'll give we want it to line up with that margin line. And we want it to kind of go halfway between this second column so the text can wrap around it a little bit. And that's where I'll place that. And I'll grab the content, and the content's going to go underneath it. Here's the headline. I'm going to use the header. And I'm going to change it to blue. So I'm using my preset paragraph style sheet already for the header. I'm going to put it right here. I may need to adjust tracking, maybe size just slightly. Okay. Oh. I'm going to kind of adjust the leading a little bit. You want to make sure there's the break on the headline is right how it is in the example. So right after succeed, and then the rest of it goes down there. Okay, so now we've got that laid out. Now we're going to place the content. Now you'll notice it's got some bullet points that we're going to have to format, but don't let that trip you up. So I've got this now. Now I'm going to, this is pretty good. We'll use this as the body text. I'm going to line it up. I want breathing room between my image and my text box. I also want the same amount of breathing room between my headline and my text box. So keep that in mind. Even amount of space. I'm just going to go to view and make sure my smart guides are on. Okay. And I'm going to lay this out over the picture. And we're going to learn how to do a technique here in just a minute. The technique that I'm referring to is going to be the text wrap. Okay, this is going to get a little tricky. I've placed the column so that it's the same height as the picture, but I want the text to wrap around the picture. How do I do that? Well, I will select this picture and click up here at the top of my character formatting controls, and it says wrap around bounding box. So by doing that, it allows me to kind of shift the text over. Now, if I right click and go to, let's see if it'll let me edit it. This one. Okay, click the picture. Let's see. Okay, so now my text is wrapping around it. I want to be able to adjust what is around that box. Let's see here. Okay, give me a minute, it'll come to me. Until then, we're gonna format our bullet points. So it gives these little gaps. We don't want these big gaps on our bullet points when we place them in. So I'm just gonna kind of get rid of those big spaces. And I want that to come here. Okay, now I'm gonna highlight, let's see. May need to make the photo a little smaller to fit all that text. So as you can see, you can even bring this down. Kind of pull, there we go. We're still missing some, so I'm going to shift my table of contents down a little bit. Bring this down. I'm going to bring this one up. Don't forget your drop cap by highlighting the D and then going to Window. Go to Window, type in Tables, go to Paragraph, and then on this drop cap icon, you're going to click 1, 2, we'll just do 2. Okay. And then for our formatting, I highlight my bullet points, and you can kind of do like a little indent if you wanted to. 2, 3. The more you do, the more space it will take up, so you just want to be careful. And this is 12-point font, and I don't want it to be 12-point font, so I'm going to bring it down to about 11-point. All right, so this is formatted slightly. Let's see. I think that was everything. Oops. Okay, so that's how you place that content, and so far it's looking good. And then you'll need to add that column of text in that box, okay? Remember, we want the images placed as best they can. It's sometimes easier if you pulled in the PDF and just kind of set the transparency to really low, 5 or 10%, so you can kind of see where the elements need to line up and place. But just kind of watch for, just kind of watch and make sure that you're formatting everything like the example over here. That's about all the time that we have on this. I want to make sure that there was nothing else we needed to cover. Oh, we need to cover grids. So before we end, I need to go over that. All right, so once you have text laid out, we got to set our, go to our baseline grid. Now let me show you a slide I've got set up. Baseline grids. So here, if you want to take a screenshot, using grid preferences to set up your baseline grid is really important. You want to go to your edit and preferences. So right here, choose edit, preferences, select grids, and then I have instructions whether you're on Windows or Mac. So it's just going to be one extra step if you're on Windows. So go to edit. For a Mac though, mine is under InDesign. You'll click preferences and go to grids. And there's a few things that you'll need to know. So there's color, which will be the colored grid. Let me show you a visual example of what you're about to do so that you can get a better understanding. Okay, so this is what the grids look like in the light blue. It's just kind of like lined notebook paper. So the concept is essentially the same. We're trying to make sure that our text lines up on our lined notebook paper in the correct place. We don't want it in the center of the line. We want it on the base of the baseline grid, which is why they call it baseline grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this step so you can see. After you've opened up your InDesign document and you've gone to your InDesign and your preferences, you're going to tell it where to start, top of the page, or maybe just the top of the margin is probably a good place to to have it. And then there's two things you have to note. Your increment every is going to depend on what your letting is, okay? Which is extremely important. Reason why we need to make sure we're using paragraph styles and character styles, because we want to keep everything consistent throughout the document. You want to set your view threshold to something very, very low, like 20%, and that's because anything above 20%, you'll see the baselines, the grids. If you have it really high, then you won't be able to see it, and you'll wonder why it's not working. So I'm going to cancel this for a minute, and I'm going to just kind of highlight my text and see what my letting says. It says it's 13.2, so that's the value that I need to put in my increment every. So I'll go to InDesign, Preferences, Grids, and type in 13.2 right here. These values have to match. Increment every has to match what your letting is in order for it to work. And then the view threshold, 20%. And then we'll hit OK. And then I want to be able to see it. So what I'm going to do is go to View, Grids and Guides, Show Baseline Grid. And there you go, you'll see my lines. So now that I have my lines, you'll see my text isn't lined up at all with my baseline grid, is it? It's kind of, some are, the ascenders of the font is kind of going over the blue line. Some words are hanging off in the middle of the word. So we want to make sure that all of our text lines up perfectly in the same spot. So what we're going to do, you can either highlight it, I'm going to go to your paragraph control settings, and right up here at the top, there is a button called Align to Baseline Grid. If you select that, you'll notice how everything's shifted down. So no matter where I place my text box, it's going to place my text right on that baseline grid. So now everything is perfectly lined up on the same baseline. That's super, super important when you're laying out anything in InDesign. So you want it to be able to line up together, okay? So are there any questions so far? I know we went over a lot. I'll go ahead and stop the share here for a minute. I know we went over a lot of stuff. Any questions? Okay, no questions on how to wrap or how to do the baseline grid. I kind of ran through it a little bit, but all right. So that pretty much covers our lecture for today. I'll just kind of go through these PowerPoint slides so that you can see the different steps. You need to pause it, and this is step 4. So I'll let you guys take a look at this. Remember, increment every does have to match your letting. All right. Okay, perfect. So hopefully this gave you a good foundation of what to work on. We weren't able to get to everything, but this is a good place to start. I also wanted to point out, if you ever needed to adjust the text wrap so it doesn't touch your text. So if you notice when we the text wrap that we applied to this picture box, it's kind of running into our text, it's touching it. We don't want that. So what you want to do is grab your direct selection tool, and we're going to grab our anchor point. If you hold down Shift, it will kind of allow us to slide the anchor point out a little bit and pull that text away from the picture, so that now it has a nice even amount of space between the picture and the text. So it gives it some breathing room. That was one thing that I forgot to cover. Let's see, anything else? Just make sure you kind of get the gist. Try to copy the example as best you can. There's a lot of formatting going on, so the more style sheets you have, the easier and quicker this will go. Remember to add the column here on the right, and then that will conclude page 1. Page 4 is pretty simple. It's just a matter of placing the ad and adding and formatting the text. So let me know if you have any questions. Come in on Wednesday for the multi-session. I'll be here. And thank you guys so much. And we will see you guys later.